Pondicherry, April 17, 1914. Translation by Sri Aurobindo. O Lord, O Almighty Master, sole reality, grant that no error, no obscurity, no fatal ignorance may creep into my heart and my thought. In action, the personality is the inevitable and indispensable intermediary of thy will and thy forces. The stronger, the more complex, powerful, individualized, and conscious is the personality, the more powerfully and usefully can the instrument serve. But by reason of the very character of personality, it easily tends to be drawn into the fatal illusion of its separate existence and become, little by little, a screen between thee and that on which thou willest to act. Not at the beginning, in the manifestation, but in the transmission of the return. That is to say, instead of being as a faithful servant, an intermediary who brings back to thee exactly what is thy due, the forces sent forth in reply to thy action, there is a tendency in the personality to want to keep for itself a part of the forces with this idea: it is I who have done this or that, I who am thanked. Pernicious illusion, obscure falsehood. Now are you discovered and unmasked. That is the maleficent canker corroding the fruit of the action, falsifying all its results. O Lord, O my sweet Master, sole reality, dispel this feeling of the I. I have now understood that so long as there will be a manifested universe, the I will remain necessary for thy manifestation. To dissolve or even to diminish or weaken the I is to deprive thee of the means of manifestation in whole or part. But what must be radically and definitively suppressed is the illusory thought, the illusory feeling, the illusory sensation of the separate I. At no moment, in no circumstances, must we forget that our I has no reality outside thee. O my sweet Master, my divine Lord, tear out from my heart this illusion so that thy servant may become pure and faithful, and faithfully and integrally bring back to thee all that is thy due. In silence, let me contemplate and understand this supreme ignorance and dispel it forever. Chase the shadow from my heart and let thy light reign in it, its uncontested sovereign. April 18, 1914. Yesterday morning, the last veil was almost rent. The last stronghold of the blind and ignorant personality seemed to be on the point of yielding. For the first time I thought I had understood what true impersonal service was, and the obstacle separating me from the integral realization seemed very fragile to me, and on the point of disappearing definitively. But the necessity of my outer duties tore me away from this beneficent and happy contemplation. And when I was obliged to return to the outer consciousness, the veil closed again, and now seems to me darker than ever. Why this fall into the inconscience of night after so great a light? O Lord, Lord, wilt thou not then let me escape at last from ignorance and become one with thee? Now that I have known and seen so well what the work upon the earth must be, could I not realize it? Am I then riveted to ignorance and illusion? Why this night, after so great and pure a light? All my being is tense in a call of anguish. O Lord, take pity on me. April 19, 1914. There is a great difference between being in the midst of active work, of external action, while keeping one's thought constantly fixed on thee, and entering into that perfect union with thee, which leads to what I have called absolute consciousness, true omniscience, knowledge. When one acts, though with the thought fixed on thee, one is like a blind man walking on the road with a sense of direction, but knowing nothing about the path he is following and how. Precisely, one must walk so as to neglect nothing. In the other case, on the contrary, there is the clear vision in full light, the utilization of the least occasion, the plenitude of action, the maximum result. And if the first attitude is indispensable before acquiring the other, yet at no moment must one cease working, making an effort to attain perfect communion. But my heart is in peace, my thought free from impatience, and I entrust myself to thy will with the smiling confidence of a child. May thy peace reign over all. April 20, 1914. After having hoped so much, after having believed that my outer being was at last to become an instrument adapted to thy purpose, after feeling hopeful that I would at last be delivered from this obscure and cumbersome self, I feel I am as far from the goal as before, as ignorant, as egoistic as I was before this great expectation. And the path stretches out once again, interminable, across the fields of inconscience. The sublime door has closed again, and I find myself still on the threshold of the sanctuary without being able to enter within. But I have learnt to look at everything with a smile and a tranquil heart. I ask only this of thee, O my divine Master, not to let me make any mistakes, even if the instrument is still condemned for a time to unconsciousness. Grant that it may let itself be guided faithfully and docilely by thy divine law. I bow to thee, O Lord, with a deep and pure devotion. O, be the sovereign master of all hearts. April 23, 1914. All rules have vanished. The regularity of the discipline is gone. All effort has ceased, not by my own will, nor, I believe, through negligence, but because circumstances are working together to bring this about. It seems that this inner will, always alert, like a steersman holding the rudder, has evaporated or fallen asleep, and my being is only something peacefully surrendered, which lets itself be carried along by the stream. Till now, it seems to me the course has always been in a straight line, and I would keep the hope that it is thou, O Lord, who guidest the stream. But surely, if I have erred at times through too great a rigidity, a lack of suppleness and spontaneity, it could very well be that now I err through the opposite excess. I have come to accept peacefully the state I am in, and to tell myself that thou wilt bestow upon me the true consciousness, the absolute consciousness when thou thinkest it best. I look at all this changing world as a game unfolding itself, and I take part in this game with the same energy and conviction with which I would if I believed it real and important. All this is very new, but what is certain is that never before were my mind and heart in so complete a repose. What will come out of that, I do not know, but I trust in Thee, O Lord. Thou knowest the best way of using and developing Thy instrument.